All righty, welcome back to the Monday after. And what a great weekend it was for NAIA football.
What a great series
you gave me that
of
blank
matchups.
stare, James. I was like, what are you going to say? Well, there's only one thing to say, and that's it was very, very fun.
Yeah.
And I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. That was an amazing 8 games of football, even though a couple were blowouts. Let's just jump right into it. We won't waste a lot of time. I don't think there's any need to go an hour. We're going to try to reduce this to a short and concise review, and then we're going to make our picks.
Let's do it.
And I realized that we ended last on Friday. We ended without making our final picks. We just kind of picked through the round.
Oh, you're right. We
did. I want to pick all the way through this time.
Okay.
So let's start off with Marion.
That was a great game. What a great game.
I'm very high on this team, Marion, and I really like the way they play defense. Their defense is as fun to watch as most offenses. And they have some great players, but they're just lights out defense. So Marion Reinhardt, and there you go. You see the game stats. Marion. Oh, okay. First of all, I want to say.
Yeah.
And in just a second, I'll run some video of what we call an unexpected score.
Yeah.
And it happened right off the bat. But let's look at the stats real quick. Marion outrushed, outpassed, and
seriously outpassed.
And when you look at the total yards gained, it was such a crazy and disparaging difference that there's no way you would think that this game would be in score as close as it was.
Yes.
But I'm going to say one word will sum it all up, and that is rain. Yeah. Rain kept, to me, kept Reinhardt in this game. Although I really think Reinhardt has a tough defense, very, very tough defense. They were still no match. Marion's just a different level of team this year. Rain kept Reinhardt in it. And here's in the first 4 possessions, 2 possessions on each side. The first 4 possessions, there were 3 turnovers, 2 interceptions by Darter. Yeah. And I think Marion had to be a little bit scared about what was going to happen for the future of that game when you start your first 2 possessions off with interceptions. But I said to myself, wow, the rain, the weather is going to play a big factor here. And it did. Ultimately, Marion figured it out, and Darter figured out how to throw the ball while it was wet. And started completing passes to his team instead of the other team. But the defense was so solid that it was really never in question because they kept stopping.
Right.
And other than, let's go to the kickoff. So the way this, you can roll the video, guys. I'll try to make this full screen so that
it'll work. And this is the beginning of the game right here. This is the first play. So
you're a little bit like, wow, okay. So there's some rain. Let's see. We don't know how the team's going to handle it, and
this is just
and then this happens. Yeah. So we'll just kind of roll it through.
Yeah. If you're Reinhardt, this is everything you needed to start this game.
He slips through the wall there, and it's Katie barred the door. We're going to take it home. Reinhardt says, hey, we're going to win this game. Yeah. We're going to win this game.
Oh, they showed up and punched him right in the face.
Yeah, and at Marion.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, I was like, oh, wow, I'm going to be wrong. And this Reinhardt team is for real.
He makes that right there.
Yeah, he just slipped right through the wall. Great block. And provided the hole. And then he just took it to the house.
Didn't look like bad coverage, really.
He just found the hole. The one hole that needed to be found, he found it. So and there you have it.
Unreal. What a start.
So it was a great start, great kind of drama. The first half was full of drama because after that you have Marion coming out throwing an interception.
Yeah.
And then Reinhardt takes it down to the 5. I think they were on the 3.
Yeah.
And then Marion's defense just held them. And they missed the field goal.
Yeah.
And then he comes back out, throws another interception fairly quickly. And so I'm thinking, this just might not be Marion's day, because remember I said the only way Marion loses this game, they just come out and lay an egg. Well, 2 interceptions in your first 2 and
a kickoff return.
An unexpected score like that.
Not exactly how you drew it up in the locker room before you headed out on the field.
Not at all. So I say, well, okay, I can live with being wrong that way. And Marion just comes out and plays bad. But that defense showed that why they are the best defense in the nation.
They gave up 0 points, really, because it was a kickoff return. And was it 5 passing yards, 89 total for over 4 quarters of play. Yeah. And Reinhardt, they would get some decent field position. They'd get down to the red zone and then couldn't. It was like hitting a brick wall. They just couldn't get through it. And I think 4 or 5 fourth down conversions combined missed in this game by both teams. A lot of they knew they had to score. They both
it's very
knew it,
interesting
and they couldn't convert.
Marion's strategy on fourth down if they're inside capable outside of field goal range, but they feel like they're capable of getting a first down even if it's 4th and 7.
They do,
and they're not scared because that defense is that effective.
I don't really blame them when they're only giving up 89 yards in a game to a top 20 team, and
your punter is not going to get a lot of work. But speaking of, when they did punt, they were very, very effective. Both teams actually punted well. I think in
spite of the rain.
Yeah, there was one punt block early and by Reinhardt, and again, defense held them from scoring.
And the rush defense for Reinhardt played well, but they had 2 95-yard rushers for Marion, 2 of them.
So Darter obviously picked it back up because he found himself with 333 yards and
plus total yards, 161 passing.
To me, that is a sign of a very mature and a great team in Marion.
Yeah, it's a team,
and
not just one guy.
It's not, but the team concept goes into each individual, and they get confidence from that. And Darter just acted like he didn't throw those 2 interceptions, although he came real close to throwing a third, and a couple times actually. And luckily that Reinhardt didn't finish it out.
And, what's so interesting in college football right now is you look at teams like Kansas Wesleyan that score a lot of points, get touchdowns, run it up Morningside. Marion's strategy seems to be run. Their 2 running backs combined for 48 rushes and 190 yards, and they just eat the clock. They don't score 50, but with the defense that's not even allowing 100 yards per game, and a running attack that just drains the clock, they win in these
perfect combination.
If there's a close scoring game, Marion has such an advantage because they can run that ball and they won't let you get very far downfield.
Yeah, it's true. Of recent NFL teams, I'm gonna go back. This is very painful to say, but they kind of remind me of that New York Giants club that beat the undefeated Patriots until the Super Bowl. 7. And that defense, if you remember, New York was not that good because Eli Manning is terrible, and he gets a couple lucky in the Super Bowl and they win, but it was because the defense was that good.
Yeah, it was stifling. Yeah.
And that Marion's good. Not.
The
although they posted great total numbers, but
the defense keeps it close, so the offense can make a play to get ahead, and 1 or 2 key plays, and that's all they really needed. The defense will shut it down.
Yeah, and the rain worked out to Marion's favor. Anyway, that was to me the best game to watch because
if you're a true football fan, this is your game right here. Yeah, that was a great one.
The weather and everything just played to make this a very dramatic game. It was not as dramatic in the second half because Marion seemed to have
but both teams were still driving, and you kind of go, well, if Marion, it was 10-7 in the fourth quarter. If Marion scores, they're up 14-10 with 5 minutes, whatever the time was, and you're going, is Reinhardt really going to upset Marion here? And we're going to have a Mid-South team beating the Mid-States Mid-East champion? And, well, Marion hung on.
All right, so let's move on. We're not going to maybe spend too much time on that. We're going to go to Kaiser Cumberland.
Staying in the Mid-South.
Yeah, so, not staying in the Mid-South, but it's a Mid-South matchup for sure. And very interesting game. Came down to the end, so I think it was very exciting because it was the last game of the day. It was really cool to kind of watch a thriller in the last 3 minutes. Kaiser was down 4, so they had to score a touchdown. Right. They made an excellent drive, and we may have some of the footage from that. Let me check real quick. All right, here we go. So there's a couple plays that were significant at the end, and really made this. And you could go to the video, guys.
This was great.
I'm not sure. We'll let it roll. I'm not sure if this is the actual play, but it's coming up soon. Yeah. And Kaiser knew that they had to make a run at this. Right. Field goal wasn't going to be good enough, so they were going to have to go down and score. And they made a tremendous play.
This is from Matthews. Oh, yeah, that was up the middle. Yeah.
So he good completion there. And
still plenty of time on the clock.
Good 20-yard, 30-yard type completion, and then I think it's this play. We'll kind of talk about it as we roll. But this is what good teams do. They respond really well. They get good play calling coming in. And that's one thing that, as I've gone back and looked at a little bit of the footage from Kaiser, they do really well in pressure type situations. There it is.
An absolute bomb.
And what a catch. What a catch. Man, that was the play of the day. Yeah. For sure.
And if you guys are watching this live, you heard the fans got in the game right here. And they said, we're the new kid on the block.
And everybody, because this is at Kaiser, so paint the picture.
To host it,
Yeah, they're hosting it. And you're saying, no way Kaiser doesn't score here.
Yeah.
And I think maybe in Cumberland's mind, they're saying, all right, well, if they're going to score on us, we need to leave a little bit of time for our offense.
Sure.
But defense did not quit.
Yeah, you almost want them to score right now.
I don't think it's this play. I think this is a running play.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he runs.
And then it's the next play that is very significant. It looks like
he gets
in the hole, and Kaiser's got to score. They got to be confident.
Yeah, they're down.
Maybe a little.
They've gone 85 yards in like
3 plays.
Yeah, 3 plays, and like 45 seconds of game clock, and you're going, this is it.
Yeah,
we're gonna watch this Kaiser team defeat Cumberland's, and
I think it's this play.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, it comes back. That's right. Yeah. There was a penalty on it, and a little heartbreaking there because that was a holding penalty, and now here comes Kaiser's demise. I think it was this play, or maybe the next play.
No, I think it wasn't. It didn't take very long.
Yeah, it didn't take very long after the bomb to get the play call in. Got a lot of yards. It's
this should be it.
First and looks like about 15. No, it's the next one. Yep.
There's the penalty. Was that the 2? That was a 2-yard loss there.
Yeah, so it's way down. He's second. They've got to pass now.
Next one. Matthews has the QB keeper, gets 8 yards, and then you have the interception. So
I like reliving this.
Yeah. Again, that clock's running. And,
I'm thinking, what a great game. What a great game to end the day on. And here Kaiser, young Kaiser is going to come in, destroy the hopes of Cumberland. Cumberland's played so well all year.
Yeah. And Cumberland is coming in this game off that loss to Lindsey Wilson, and they're in control. Yeah, that's the QB keeper. It's the next play after this one.
My memory's bad.
I thought it was quicker too, but what a great matchup between these Mid-South teams.
I'll take a little coffee break there. I think it's this.
So he's getting the play call. He's got the 3 receivers on the left. I think that's what they landed with too. And then the one on the right comes across. It's could have been part of it. That took a
lot of signals.
I wonder if that could have contributed to the interception.
They're trying to read the defense and send it in right at the last second. Here we go.
There it is. Oh,
went for the corner
right there
and just laid an egg right.
Too much air on that.
Right into the arms.
And he couldn't get in. He couldn't step into his throw because he's just rolling out to his left, right-handed quarterback.
Well, it wasn't even that. It was just a badly thrown ball. I mean, it was so short, and it was just not executed well.
No.
And there you go.
And what a
Kaiser's hopes and dreams dashed.
That's their first loss in the year, right there in the playoffs.
Came to a really good Cumberland's team, though.
Yeah.
And even though this was exciting, neither defense was lights out, but they were fairly effective and right there most effective in that run. So,
I mean, 350 yards offense for Cumberland's, 400 for Kaiser. I mean, it's tough to. It's got to be a heartbreaker to get 400 yards of offense and not come away with the win.
Absolutely,
that's going to be one they're going to look back on and.
And it was that last play, that last series of
his only interception
two plays. Yeah,
only one is just.
Otherwise, without that series, they were very, very even in their total yards produced. So Cumberland's really ran the ball very, very well.
And Kaiser, 50% on third down. That'll usually this is usually the stat line of the winning team right here. 400 yards, 50% on third down.
Yeah.
And Kaiser was they even converted their only fourth down attempt. So all in all, I think a solid game from Kaiser. I think it was just two good teams playing each other, and someone had to win. Cumberland's was also 4 for 5 on fourth down that game.
Mm-hmm.
They went for it. So but we'll see in this quarterfinals if teams will still keep this. If it's fourth and short, you're going for it, and especially if you're just outside of field goal range. We'll see how the weather. A lot of these games are going to be up in Iowa, Indiana. It's going to be colder.
So
interesting to see if this continues.
Let's move on. Let's go College of Idaho, Ottawa. Now, this was a blowout of epic proportion.
Yeah.
I don't know that we need to spend a ton of time other than I will say, and then we'll roll some video on these guys as well.
I mean,
a little bit of a highlight type.
70-23. It was a complete game for College of Idaho. I mean, they played the complete game.
Oh, yeah.
Offense, defense, special teams, the pick six. I thought they played very, very strong and that's what is help them get that late run in the postseason.
One thing that you just don't see, you see the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
The numbers are fantastic all year long. Very decent defense. Really good offense, but one thing, if you can't watch them play, you can't get the eye test, you don't, and this is what I walked away with, that makes me think, wow, College of Idaho could be the spoiler this year. They very well could be. There's a maturity, but a swagger that they carry, and that confidence is scary for any team to come out, and they just annihilated a very potent offense in Ottawa. So I know that Sooners probably the worst conference, and so they put their champion, which was between them and Langston, not a lot of distance. So and Langston was down this year. So Ottawa.
I think Ottawa deserved to be there.
Absolutely, no question
College
about
of Idaho.
that.
Wow.
But it just goes to show that the overall take on the Sooner is Sooner earned its right to be last in the conference type standings, and College of Idaho proved why, because it's just different. But also, I'm going to say, and this is yet to be seen, but College of Idaho is a good, really good team. Yeah. I think they could be a sleeper to win it all.
Ooh.
They could be a sleeper to win it. That's my dark horse.
They're the dark horse to get.
But if you're seeing
no one's looking out for them. I mean,
Peterson is an X factor though.
Yeah.
Mighty Mouse, man. He's a little dude running the show. His arm is great. He's very accurate. Yeah. Receivers run really great routes, and they're big. Mm-hmm. And that kind of big target.
He's dual threat.
And he's dual threat because he runs.
Yeah.
He runs a lot.
He had 188 through the air, 138 on the ground.
Yeah.
4 touchdowns through the air. They had some really good field positions, so the yardage is a little lower than some of these other games. Yep. But nevertheless, they find ways to get in the end zone. I mean, 70 points is 70 points, and it can't just be all the offense.
Yep. And the Yotes have a very effective defense. That might be – I think their offense is there. I think they can play with almost anyone on offense. Is their defense going to be capable to stop – like a Kansas Wesleyan or, a matchup between College of Idaho and Marion could be, very good. It'd be like the Reinhardt almost in that. Well, I take that back because Reinhardt has a really good defense. But if they can get their defense to be effective, then it's going to present a challenge for Marion to stop such a high-powered threat. I don't for a minute think that they can't. But
we talked about on Friday, Ottawa's running game had to step up. Christopher Ewens had to get a lot. He had 28 carries, over 100 yards of rushing and a touchdown. And Austin McCullough still threw for 380-some yards, but it was the 3 picks that did Ottawa in. So, but it does tell us that Idaho can be had. People can get in there. They can get... yards can be gained on this College of Idaho team. I think the defense is good, but we'll have to see how well it'll hold up in the long run.
All right, let's get on to the next game. Guys, you can come back to us. Yeah. And
you want to go Baker and Kansas Wesleyan?
Kansas Wesleyan Baker. Now, this is for most of the NAIA guys out there. They predicted that Baker would. They didn't think it was an upset. They said that it would be an upset if Kansas Wesleyan won, but not us. We both picked Kansas Wesleyan, and I was a little shook on my pick there because John Cooper was so adamant about Kansas Wesleyan.
He put question marks on him.
Yeah, he really did, and it made me rethink. And I think, well, okay, I get the conference value type play, but Kansas Wesleyan being in the Final Four last year and doing well, and then this year seeing this team, thinking that this team could beat last year's team pretty easily. I just had to stick with it and be wrong if I was going to be wrong. And
we said this year's Kansas 2019 Kansas Wesleyan would have crushed 2018 Kansas Wesleyan. This team got better year over year. This wasn't the same team, and they showed it. They showed it against Baker. Now Baker scored the first. They drew first blood 7-0, but for the first quarter, Baker was up 7-0. But the rest of the game, undeniably Kansas Wesleyan's game. 42 unanswered points.
Yeah,
and it didn't. Once they got going, that was a freight train, and
I think it woke a lot of people up to the fact that. Kansas Wesleyan is for real. Best, out of the last 3 games they played in the playoffs, or 4 games, probably the most impressive that they played, and maybe the best team that they played.
And we got to start thinking about some of those close games they had against Avila. How good is Avila now?
Avila's good.
We have to kind of go. Maybe we know that conference is.
Well, KCAC is. You're not going to convince a lot of the other guys that KCAC is legit. They're going to. This is going to be a time thing. You got it. Time invested will ultimately yield out. All right, let's step away. Even though that was my game of the week, I was excited about. Because I do like high-powered offense, and they did deliver.
They did.
Next, Lindsey Wilson, St. Francis. I was wrong on this. I was wrong. You were right. And
but you were right for a lot of the second half.
Kind of took a miracle, actually. And St. Francis should have won that game.
They should have.
And they played 90% of that game good enough to win. Yeah. And Lindsey Wilson just willed themselves. They did not want to lose it out this year, and they absolutely willed themselves to win that game.
Scored 14. They were down, was it 12, I think? And they got 14 and came away with the win. I mean,
what a great victory for them.
They were 10 points down with like 6 minutes, I think, maybe something like that, like 6 minutes left in the game. Yeah. And I was like, oh, well.
Two really good teams.
Very good teams.
And I know that you were on the fence about whether St. Francis should have been in there, but I think that game proved that they definitely deserve to be in there. And they're a good team. They play in a great conference, and they're a good team. So I didn't have as much a problem with St. Francis being in as maybe I would have said Xavier. Mm-hmm. But we can't say anything about Xavier now. So I lost that one as well.
Yeah.
I lost out on 2 of these 8 games, and St. Francis. And then the Northwestern Xavier. We could skip to that one and go straight. The kind of a boring game from what I could watch. I didn't watch a ton of it, but it wasn't super exciting.
When you have Lindsey Wilson, St. Francis coming down to the end, Kaiser, Cumberland's coming down to the end, the Northwestern game just didn't have the eye appeal that maybe the others did. But.
So Xavier played really well, and you got to hats off to him. Hats off to beating probably a top 3 team in the nation. Now,
Northwestern's been top 10 all year, and
it makes you really think, because Northwestern didn't play badly against Morningside. No. So either Northwestern just dropped the ball and didn't come play like they could, or St. Xavier is that good. Possibly.
It's possible.
I don't think so. We'll see. We'll see coming up. And
we'll see, because they'll play, I think they got Morningside, right? Yeah. So they'll play both those GPAC teams.
And I am not trying to say they're a bad team. I'm just saying, there may have been a couple other teams that deserve to get in. But when you beat Northwestern, you have proved your case, and so now we can't really second guess that. So moving forward, St. Xavier, you deserve to be in there. The Raiders, the guys that gave you votes, they knew what they were talking about, and they could see, and so you earned that. Grandview, Concordia. A game that I could not actually see. I didn't see this game, so kind of had to watch it from the stat line.
Yeah,
and
that was actually a fun one. That was close.
Yeah, Grandview.
All the way through, really.
Grandview's proven to be very good, but Concordia maybe a little better than everybody thought. And so congratulations to Grandview. I don't have a ton of things to say about it because I just didn't get to see it. And maybe if you guys know a little more about it or were at the game, feel free to chime in on the chats.
Does the 30-31 performance make you nervous about Grandview making a deep run in the postseason?
Yeah, I think yes, it does, absolutely. And I've heard some other chatter out there that said Grandview could be the favorite out. If you take Morningside off the table, Grandview could be the number 2 option to win. Just depends on how it goes down. And maybe even John Cooper says that if it gets paired up right, it could be Morningside Grandview. I don't think I have that opinion of it at this point, especially after seeing some of the other games. Now, obviously, the way I see it, we'll talk about the pairings here in just a little bit, but seeing the pairings now and knowing what I know now, I can say I really don't think Grandview is going to make it.
Really?
So
interesting. It was. I mean, Concordia played very well. They're a very good team. Kind of there was St. Francis, those like that bubble team, last one in.
Yeah, but being
to 1 point game,
a top 3 team all year, and not handling your business like.
Kansas,
Morningside did, and I felt like they should have beat Concordia handily, and they just didn't do that. Yeah. So at least not from the stat line. And maybe if I'd just seen it, I could
tell us in the comments if you were able to watch. Tell us what happened there.
All right, and then we end with a Morningside and Dickinson State, and this
not
is
much
really
to say there,
Morningside did everything we thought they would.
Yeah, that one felt done early, 16-0 after the first quarter, and we're going okay.
First quarter and a half, it was a good game. I got to see this, and you were like, okay, Dickinson State, they can play ball, and then we realized, especially the second half, Morningside's just, and I think if you look at the other teams in Dickinson State, they would have been, other than Ottawa of Arizona, maybe Dickinson State is at the bottom.
Yeah. And I mean, they had to play Morningside. You're at the bottom. You got to play those top teams. You're playing Morningside. You're playing Marion.
I think they would have lost to most every team. Good games would have maybe been St. Xavier, St. Francis, maybe even like a Kaiser or something like that. But
I mean, you have to play flawlessly to beat Morningside, and Morningside came out, scored 16 on you, and it just felt over early, even at halftime.
All right, we'll go into next round. These 4 games.
Yeah.
We're in the quarterfinals, and this is important. So I like the matchups. So I think the matchups are fair, but and this is why we'll start with Marion and Cumberland's.
Okay.
Cumberland's doesn't have the defense to keep Marion out of the end zone. Although Marion's not a great offense, like they're not a juggernaut, but Darter is more than capable of throwing the ball around and doing it well. If there's no rain, I think the rain will help Cumberland's just a little bit, but if there's no rain, I say Marion walks away with this by 14, and it's never going to be really anything but in hand for Marion. Defensively, Cumberland's not going to be able to. I'm saying Marion's defense
is too much for
just
Cumberland's
throttle
offense.
down Cumberland's offense. So not a ton to say about that, but would you have a pick?
I'm going to pick Marion, but I'm going to pick them by 7 over Cumberland's. I think something's going to have to give, because Cumberland's has a great rushing attack. Marion has a great run.
You're going to need rain to make that.
You are, but it will be back in Marion. Should be anyway. As I saw, it's back there. So
absolutely.
And I think we'll see. If it's cold, if it's rainy, I think I think it'll be close, but.
What do you guys pick? Put your pick in the comments or chat section.
I'll be watching for them here.
Talk me off of this, but it's Marion by 14 at least. And here's why I don't pick Grandview. College of Idaho. Too much
College
swagger.
Of Idaho and Grandview?
They're too good. They're well-balanced attack, and Grandview's just not going to be able to handle the well-balanced attack. I think if it was one-sided and Grandview could concentrate that great defense on one thing, but handling a dual-threat quarterback and a guy that passes as well as he does and then can run out of trouble, which Grandview will present some pressure trouble, but he can get out of it. He's one of the few quarterbacks in the playoffs at this point that can get out of that trouble. So it's going to present a huge problem. Probably one of the worst matchups that I think Grandview could have drawn. And I am very excited about that game.
You have 2 undefeated teams playing off just here in the quarterfinals.
This is going to be a great game. Now, I think it's going to be close, but I'm going to take College of Idaho by 4.
Ooh, by 4.
Yep.
I'm going to take Grandview by 7. I think the defense is going to step up. They're going to the traveling for College of Idaho will affect them. It's first time for College of Idaho in the playoffs. I think Grandview, the experience is going to pay off for them. Okay, well, good luck on that. So you've got Grandview by 7. The first time you've dared to step away from me, I believe. Well, there was Lindsey Wilson, which speaking of, it's Lindsey Wilson and Kansas Wesleyan. Who you got?
All right. Kansas Wesleyan by a mile. A mile. Yeah, people don't understand how good their defense is. And I don't think anyone will give credit to Ottawa's offense, but we know that Ottawa's offense, we've been watching them all year, and we know their offense is very good. So I think I'm not sure why I brought that up, but Kansas Wesleyan, their defense is very potent, and you could just look at the numbers, and they rank really well. Baker. I meant Baker. I didn't mean Ottawa. I just kind of fooled myself there. Baker proved that they could score on good defenses, and they just couldn't score on Kansas Wesleyan. No. So that defense is much better than people will give them credit for, and the offense was obvious. Very, very obvious. And I think they walk away by 20 points.
20 points. You have KW by 20.
Yeah.
I think this is a very intriguing matchup. 2 undefeated teams. both teams good from top to bottom, offense, defense, special teams. However, I'm going to give the edge, just like kind of like you mentioned, Kansas Wesleyan. I'm big supporter of Shaq Bradford. Last week, Baker held him to 1 sack and I believe only 3 tackles. But Kansas Wesleyan still blew out Baker, even though they held back Bradford. So they're not one-dimensional. And ultimately, Kansas Wesleyan's going to come away with a 13-point win.
Right. That's a good analysis because they're not one-dimensional, although he leads the league in sacks.
Yeah, he's got 19 sacks this season. 19 sacks this season.
You could key on him, and it's just going to open up.
You can double-team him, but someone else is coming and going to pressure the quarterback out of the pocket, and I think ultimately Lindsey Wilson's not ready for that.
Kansas Wesleyan they are a very, very good team. And then you got Morningside St. Xavier. This could be the upset. I doubt it. I really doubt it, and I'm by no means
this would rock the NAIA football scene if St. Xavier pulls off this one.
But I got Morningside. I mean, enough said about Morningside. They're just great. Both sides of the ball, they're great. They're fantastic. And against a team like St. Xavier, I don't think it's going to present a challenge.
One weakness for Morningside, I think we have 19 turnovers. For Morningside, they've turned over the ball out. They're -1 in the turnover margin. St. Xavier, your key, you have to get interceptions. You got to get to the young quarterback. You have to get the ball, control the clock. It's your only chance to beat this Morningside team.
Dolachek's good though, and
he's very good, but you have to get him to turn the ball over. If you don't, if you let them just run and pound, ground and pound, they will not let you have the ball.
He gets a little loose just because the defense is so good, and he knows they got his back. So I think they try things, and they are successful at trying new things, and they're a fun team to watch. We've just not seen a big challenge for them, so I think we kind of think boring when Morningside, but it's about to get good. I don't know that St. Xavier is going to make it good yet, so it might not get good till the Final Four. But I got Morningside by 21.
I have Morningside by 24. I think it's going to be at least. I think it'll be more than 3 touchdowns after the drumming they just put on Dickinson State.
Dickinson State and St. Xavier are different though, and I wouldn't.
They are. They're not the same, but I think what was the point differential on that last one?
It's too much.
Yeah.
I said 27 and
43 points. Yeah. So I'm basically going to cut that in half. I'm going to cut it down. 21.
Well, okay, good call. So there you have it, guys. Put in let us know where we're wrong, if you agree with anything, and let us know what your score predictions. Don't just predict the winner. Go out on a limb and predict what the score might be, and argue for your team.
Yeah.
Let us know, because it's good to talk about this stuff. Maybe we're missing something. Of course we're missing something, but it's impossible. The media is not prevalent in NAIA football, so the way people learn is to discuss and talk about this openly, and I'm ready to hear arguments about why you think I'm wrong. And
let's talk.
I felt pretty good. Out of the 8 games, I got 6.
Let's talk about your pick. You got 6.
And
I believe I got 6 as well.
Say that the Northwestern St. Xavier was almost impossible to see. I mean, I don't know, unless you're just a Xavier fan and you're just constantly watching that.
The Lindsey Wilson game was tough.
That was tough. That was a tough matchup, and a good matchup, I should say. So you kind of you had to pick somebody.
You have to pick someone.
I think. Kaiser Cumberland was my 50-50, and I really thought Lindsey Wilson might fade just a little bit in playoff scenario where St. Francis is.
And in fairness, they did because they were up 16-3, let St. Francis come all the way back, and then they needed a miracle, and they got it. But still, the prediction was correct. They had a little extra grit and fight in them to come back and get the win.
Yeah, and that was good.
And that's what you have to do to win in the playoffs.
So I talked with the Discord channel about this a little bit, but I found some interesting information.
Okay.
And there was a little bit of some snarky comments, not in that, but in other chatter sphere about NAIA and the conferences. And there was some comments about the Frontier Conference being kind of weak. I kind of bought into it a little bit because I don't know what to think when you're playing the way the divisions work. and you're playing.
And sometimes twice you're playing them.
You're playing a round robin. You're playing three teams twice. And, you just don't know. You don't know how to predict that and what that really means. And so I bought into a little bit, but did some fact checking and found out that in this millennium, there has been no stronger conference than the Frontier Conference.
What?
They own.
How do you quantify that? How do you calculate
championships and appearances in championship games?
Across all sports, not just.
Yeah, they have 8. Well, no,
you're saying just football.
They have 8 championship appearances in the NAIA football championship games. So, but Carroll was the dominant.
Carroll was the one that comes to mind.
They won 7 of those. So it's a good conference, and that means it doesn't necessarily mean because Carroll was dominant, but the other teams had to improve their value to just be competitive with Carroll at some point. And they had to, Carroll you can't just walk through over everybody suck, and then you're great, and then go do so well in the tournaments. It just doesn't work that way, especially at this level. Right. So there had to be some formidable foes within your conference to make you better. It's just, a team that doesn't have a good practice squad is not going to be a very good team on the field in game time. You have to have
you need to close games
teams to challenge you, right? And Carroll, absolutely, they have 7 in this millennium. They have, I think I just lost my computer, but 7 championships, and they've been 8 times. And then you have, St. Francis as of late. They've only got 1 championship, but they
St. Francis, Indiana.
Yeah,
they have 2. They won in 2017, 2018, and then Morningside, 2019, and or 2016, 2017.
But in the millennium, they've been 5 times. Yeah. So in appearances,
even Carroll College is ahead.
They've been a lot of times compared to all the other times. And we look at Morningside as this juggernaut, but not really. Not historically, they've been good, but they've not.
Well, they've won their conference
caliber
8 or 9 years in a row, but maybe not. But obviously not. That was their first national championship last year, and they basically got it by the skin of their teeth. It wasn't a dominating.
Maybe I think 2 championship appearances at all. Yeah. So they're good as of late. They got great, of course.
And you like the future, but you still look at the past and have to go Carroll College, and that Frontier Conference has been dominant.
So they're bringing in, Morningside's bringing in, they're the reigning champions, and I'm big on past performance, like recent past performance. So I think that adds to their quality, because where confidence shows up, then good gameplay normally shows up. Sure. But I have to give also Kansas Wesleyan a nod, because they were in the Final Four last year. And I know guys say they didn't really have to beat anybody to get there.
They had to beat.
Well, I argue they did. They had to beat 2 teams to get there. And no matter what you say about it, it's still playoff ball. And they handled their business in those 2 games. And they ran out of gas in the semifinals. But this year, I don't know if they're going to run out of gas. I think it could be. I think Marion could take this. Matter of fact, I'm predicting Marion's going to win. Marion's got some championship appearances as well, and a win.
They've won a few.
And they have a good legacy, and they're very, very, very good, well coached. And I'm going to have that Marion's going to take it all.
So you have Marion over Cumberland's. You have College of Idaho over Grandview. You have Kansas Wesleyan over Lindsey Wilson, and you have Morningside. How are you? Let's see. That gives you Marion, College of Idaho, Kansas Wesleyan, Morningside. What's your semifinal? Who do you think is going to travel where? College of Idaho probably going to go to the Iowa team or Kansas team, right? Or
Grandview
and Morningside are both Iowa.
Yeah,
I think Wesleyan, Kansas.
I think it's going to be Kansas Wesleyan, Morningside in the final four,
the semi,
and then
Marion, Grandview.
Not Grandview.
Or College of Idaho, right?
And that's going to be. That's why I mentioned that whole Marion College of Idaho kind of can
hang on.
stop the
College
offense.
of Idaho, Grandview, they play in the quarters. So you have college. Yes, right. Yeah, you have College of Idaho and Marion. Yeah.
Catch up, buddy.
Yeah.
College of Idaho beats Grandview, and they're going to play Marion, I bet. So that's going to be just a great game. Yeah. But you're going to see how good Marion's defense to stop a good offense, like an effective balance.
Right.
See, they can handle the balance. Marion can handle the balance.
They can.
I don't think Grandview can. I think Marion can. So I give it to Marion, and then the easy pick is Morningside Marion. So for championship game, I'd like to see Marion Kansas Wesleyan.
Yeah, I would too. I think I would agree. I think that'd be at least a more entertaining game. Yeah. But either way, I think it'll be entertaining. Let's be honest.
Morningside until you prove them wrong.
Yeah. Morningside, I think they're like, I can't remember what their winning streak is, but it is like, I think 20-some games now, 27, 28. I mean, it is.
Yeah, I mean, and just their overall win percentage over the last 5 years is fantastic.
Very high, yeah.
So that's mine. What do you got in championship game?
I have Morningside. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out how it's going to work with the breakdown because it's not an even bracket. But I do have Morningside winning the national championship this year. That
just goes you're gutless.
Gutless, but I like my chances on the recent past history of this team. And
so easy. Go on a limb, man. Who's your dark horse?
I think they're going to end up playing Marion if they don't play in the semis. I think if they play in the finals, it'll be Morningside Marion.
I think the percentage is there, and. If you you're obviously taking Morningside, but
I think the Morningside offense is going to have enough to get past.
I think if you ask most of the guys that watch this, you go Morningside or the field. Most of them, more than 50%, will take the field.
You think so?
I think so. You need to ask that.
We need to put that poll on our Twitter. Yeah. I think ultimately it just comes down to Morningside offense will overcome that defense enough, and I think the Marion offense won't be able to catch up on their scoring. Morningside has a very good defense. They're not Marion. I mean no one is, but I think the Morningside defense will be enough to keep Marion to 10 points.
At this point, it comes down to great coaching, great strategy. The more balanced teams will go further. Morningside is a very balanced team. But Kansas Wesleyan, they're kind of balanced. But College of Idaho may be the most balanced. I just don't know that the power is there to get past Marion.
Yeah, Kansas Wesleyan against Marion. Is that you said that you're going to pick Morningside Marion in the finals, right? You're thinking that's going to be it?
It could happen, yes. I think that's the most likely thing. Yeah. I hope it's Kansas Wesleyan.
I think it's the most likely, but Kansas Wesleyan would be.
I would like to see. I think Kansas Wesleyan has a better offense than Morningside.
Yeah, I have a hard time picking Kansas Wesleyan for the national championship simply because I need them to prove it. I need them to prove it. I know they put a stomping on Baker, but I think they can. I don't think there's any question they have the talent to get a national championship this year, but they've got to put it all together and prove it. They did well in the first round. Let's see how they do against Lindsey Wilson. That'll be a really good litmus test to see if they're ready to compete against these top teams in the country.
There you go. Well, there you have it, guys. Communicate back with us through the chats and the responses, replies, and Twitter, and tell us where we're wrong if you agree with us, and who your Final Four is going to be. And be sure to put scores. I like to see what point spreads people think will happen as well. But you've been watching the Champion Sports Network. This is James and John just giving you a little bit of fodder to talk about in NAIA football. We love our football, NAIA, our small college football. And this has been just an absolute blast. We hope you have a great day. God bless you. Yeah. And we'll see you hopefully maybe Friday. Yeah. All right. Have a great day.